Okay, so right now I want to talk about ESGs and UNSDGs. Right. So these are basically assessment parameters. It's like, for example, you take ESG, so environmental, social, as well as governance. So ESG goals, and what you have on the other hand is UNSDGs, which is United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So these are just ways to assess a company whether it's ethical or sustainable. But these are not applicable to like initial phases of business are somewhat allow some leeway against these things because you look at the Carol's pyramid. So it goes from the bottom up. For a business to exist, it has to be initially, profitable, adhering to legal, and then only can you be ethical and philanthropic. So this checks whether your company is ethical and sustainable. So you can see where it stands. So that is one. So now, what is exactly, so again, what is ESG? What is UNSDG? So it's just basically assessment parameters. So ESG is usually assessed by regulators. This could be like Morningstar, institutions like Morningstar, S&P Global. So these are institutions that assess businesses on how they are adherent with certain policies, because this is right. And then UNSDGs. UNSDG is basically a government evaluation, right? The United Nations. So it's a global evaluation. The United Nations. So they have put forward 17 goals. Pretty hard to remember all of them, but there are certain things that you can, certain few ones which specifically stand out. So now let's take the ESGs and what they exactly mean. Usually so environmental, social, as well as governance. So environmental, so just it's pretty much focused on what already exists, so don't need to think too much. So environmental, in the sense we're looking at carbon emissions and how they impact the climate, proper waste disposal, green energy, the use of renewable energy. So we know there's solar energy, yeah, solar energy, and there's our normal electricity. So using which one you're using. So those are also questions. Then come towards social. So we here what we look at is workplace safety, equality, diversity. Yeah, I talked about safety. Yeah, yeah. And then coming towards governance, so we have to talk about the policies. So in the sense, anti-corruption, transparency, executive pay. So those kind of things are what you will be looking in governance. So usually each a lot of these things, there will be overlap between the ESG as well as the UNSDGs. For an example, the UNSDG 13 talks about climate. UNSDG number 3 talks about health, and I believe it's good health. Yeah, it talks about health and well-being. Then I think UN 8 talks about work environment. So yeah, you might have to cross-reference that, but that's UN 3, 8, and 13. That's what I remember, because those are things which I was focused on. But again, believe there's a 1, 2, 3, and also there are some that talks about hunger, and yeah. So those are what the ESGs and UNSDGs are there for. They evaluate how your company, yeah, because now your company has gone higher up in the Carol's pyramid, and now it is now impacting the world on a global level. So there's a need for it to adhere to certain policies, certain standards, and these are your ESGs and UNSDGs.